Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Subculture Live. I am your host, Sammy Joe, and I have a very special guest tonight. And this is kind of near and dear to my heart because for many of you that don't know my story, I started competing very young. Actually, I was still in high school. So when Riley reached out to me and told me the success that she had as a 17-year-old earning her pro card in wellness, I was very excited to have her on the show. So she is going to share with us all of her excitement and her story and her journey. So let me go ahead and bring her in. Good evening. How are you this evening tonight? How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm excellent. So I didn't want to butcher your last name. How do you say that?
It's Riley Dykstra.
Awesome. I love it. So, 17 years old, you decided that you wanted to compete in bodybuilding. How does that come about? What was your first exposure to the sport of natural bodybuilding?
I've honestly always been interested in bodybuilding, and I've followed a ton of bodybuilders for the past few years. And I told myself that I wanted to compete in a show one day. And then this year, I kind of just was thinking, well, I could do it now. So I just kind of went for it with the main goal of just stepping on stage, and I ended up going pro. So.
That's amazing. Congratulations. So I want to ask you this. Who are some of the big names that you may have followed uh when you were drawn to the sport? Do you have any idols or any people that you inspire to be like? Any names that you could throw out there? It could be
Yeah,
on the
there's
natural or enhanced side.
yeah, there's definitely a few. Christy Yon is an NPC wellness pro that I've been following. Georgia Daniels, she does bikini, I'm pretty sure, in the NPC, but she's also someone I've been following for the past few years. And
Okay.
there's a ton of other bodybuilders too, but those are, I'd say, the two main ones that I've really looked up to.
Awesome. All right. So you follow them obviously on social media. Do you think that social media kind of the direction, well, you're young so you don't know, but the direction that social media is going now, it gives younger athletes an opportunity to follow athletes like that and to be inspired and to obviously for you it inspired you to compete yourself. I think that is important, and that's a great message that these athletes put out there, because this is a sport of longevity if you do it and you go in the right direction. Um, and you could be doing it for years and for a lifetime. So I love that they caught your attention and brought you into the sport. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I definitely think that if I didn't have social media, I would have no idea about bodybuilding because that's how I really got interested in it at first.
That's awesome. That's
So,
great. No, that's great. So we have to ask you this: does your family and your friends think of all of this craziness that we call bodybuilding?
I mean, most of my friends and my family definitely think it's amazing the discipline and the dedication I committed to the sport. But also during my prep, I got really hangry. So my family and friends did have to deal with me being super irritable and hangry all the time. But they dealt with it and they were super supportive and they just thought it was so amazing, especially the fact that I was able to win my pro card at 17.
Yeah, yeah, that is amazing. That's such an incredible feat. So, like, okay, so your friends and your family, they accepted you for it. You didn't lose any friends over this. That's good. That's a big thing. Those are true friends
Yeah.
because some of them can just be like, I don't want any part of this. I am out. Did a lot of them come and support you? Were they in the crowd when you stepped on stage?
Well, it was mostly my family, but I did have some friends too that came.
Nice.
And if they weren't able to be there, they did watch through my Instagram and I sent them all the pictures and everything.
Nice, nice. That's incredible. Now, I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. Before you got into the sport of bodybuilding, were you involved in any other sports or any other athletics growing up? Because that's something you will find common in this sport, especially as you get further into it and you get to know some more of the pros and some more of the athletes competing. Many of them have a background in some sort of athletics. So, what was the case for you?
I've actually been in sports my entire life. I've pretty much tried every sport there is, but the past like 4 or 5 years, I've been in volleyball. So I would say that was my main sport until I got into lifting and then decided to try out competing in a bodybuilding show.
Yeah. So getting into the gym and getting in, getting into the weight room, did you have somebody that, did you hire a trainer, a coach? Did you have a family member that brought you in? Like, how did that evolve?
Well, once I decided that I wanted to compete, I reached out to people that may help me find a coach, and
Mm-hmm.
I found my coach, John Gross, and he helped me with the diet and the training. And then I also found an opposing coach, Allison Luckner, and she's with Fit Vixens too. It's for posing, and
Okay.
she helped me so much with posing. I literally didn't even know how to walk in heels at the start, and she helped me so much.
That is great. I'm actually going to throw up a picture of you just so everyone can see how beautiful you looked on stage.
Thank
And that
you.
was that was the OCB Treasure Coast, and that's down in Port St. Lucie, is that correct? Yeah, Port St. Lucie.
Yeah.
Cool. I know that Patricio, he puts on that show with his wife. They do a great job. They put on a couple other shows down in South Florida. But yeah, you definitely look very polished up there. You're posing, you show confidence. And I have to ask you, going into the event, like what was something that you were scared of, or what was like your biggest fear going into competition, going into the show?
I feel like I honestly was scared I was gonna mess up on stage, even though I had practiced my posing for months, and I had the dieting down, I had the training down, like, there was nothing really more I could do at that point, and I was just scared that I would, like, trip and fall on my face or just, like, mess up somehow,
Right,
but
right.
obviously that didn't happen, so
That's right. That's right. We always say like a lot of novice athletes that get on stage. I always tell them it's muscle memory that takes over. Many athletes that will
yeah.
step on stage, they just kind of black out, but then your mind and your body just know what to do. Like they got you. And if you've practiced enough, it'll just happen on stage, and you'll execute it perfectly. That's why we always say practice, practice, practice,
Yeah.
because you never
No,
know.
I
Some
definitely
people don't know how they'll react in front of like a live audience with all the spotlights on them. It's
yeah. No, I remember the first time I stepped on the stage, I was shaking so much just because I was so nervous. I was scared that everyone could see me like shaking, but it was
mm-hmm.
just muscle memory and I got everything down just because I had practiced it so much.
Yes, yeah, because that's the one thing we can't practice is the actual stepping out on stage, right? We can practice
Yeah.
everything else. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's also I heard a competitor say control all the controllables, so that's what I really focused on. So I practiced
Mm-hmm.
posing every single day and made sure I went all out with my training and my cardio and
Yep.
stuck to my diet so I could, because you can't really control who you compete against, but
No.
if you control everything that you can control, then it gives you a better advantage.
That's right. That's a very positive outlook. Now I have to ask your teachers. Obviously, you had to eat in class. You had to bring meals to school. What were their thoughts on all of this?
Well, my teachers that knew that I was competing, they were supportive. They were really nice. Some probably didn't know I was competing, but I did get super cold. I was freezing because I lost so much body fat and because my metabolism was slowing down. So I started bringing a blanket to school every day. And I was wearing the biggest hoodies and had a blanket. So some of my teachers probably thought I was just like insane because it wasn't even that cold.
Right.
But to me, I was freezing.
Yeah, most
So they probably
competitors.
thought it was weird.
Yes, we can sympathize with that. Yeah, that's definitely something I didn't think about. Yeah, being cold, you had to stay warm
Mhm.
while you were in class. Oh man. So the other wow, so what other obstacles did you have to overcome, as a student going to school? What do you think are some obstacles you had to overcome that maybe other athletes uh, um, didn't have to deal with, like in your mind?
Well, since this is my junior year and I competed during my junior year, I had to take the SAT while on prep. So that's probably like studying for the SAT, actually taking it multiple times while also taking 3 AP classes and all honors was just a lot to handle while being on prep and having no energy. But I was still able to get it all done. It's just that I stopped hanging out with friends as much as I wish I could have just because I did not have the energy or the time. So that is a big obstacle, I'd say.
Yeah, and that is not one I would wish on anybody. I don't think any of us want to retake the SATs, so,
Mhm.
especially during prep with prep brain.
Yeah,
Well, congratulations on being what I always tell my son as being a student athlete, right? Because that's always what comes first. Our studies and our schooling. So wow, kudos to you to pulling off
thank you.
yeah, a workload like that. That's very impressive, and it says a lot about your discipline in the gym and in the sport if you're able to carry that kind of workload and be very successful. So, wow, I'm so
Thank you.
impressed. Yeah. Okay, so any other fun stories you would want to like share about this whole experience? I feel like we all have some just crazy funny bloopers or reactions that we get from people or things of that nature.
I can't think of any specific ones, just the fact that I literally would bring a blanket to school every day, and I had probably looked insane to so many people. I would carry around a like the biggest blanket, like a big winter blanket around the hallways every single day for a good like months, I'd say. So I probably looked insane to most people.
I'm sure you have some like you're like the blanket lady or something.
Yeah, probably. Oh my gosh. And then also just actually I do have a one story. So I brought my meal prepped food to go out to dinner with my mom. Um and then my mom ordered and it was a restaurant on the beach, so it was pretty expensive too, and she ordered like a lobster salad or something. And then we told the waitress that I had my own food and she was fine with it. But then when she brought my mom's food out, she was like, "Oh, you can't eat your own food in a restaurant." So we had to leave after she brought out my mom's food. So
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
not the most fun moment. That was
No.
not
You're
fun.
like, but I'm in prep and nobody cares.
Yeah.
But you're I know.
Yeah, it's like I was already eating like the same meals every day. It's not like and then I have to get kicked out of a restaurant. So
Right.
that was not fun.
No, you're just trying to be social, trying to hang out with your
Yeah.
mom. I get it. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen numerous times actually to one of my good friends, and she didn't leave without a fight either. She was like, "You don't
Yeah.
understand."
I don't get why they don't just let us eat our own food, like, oh my
Yeah, I
god.
know. It's crazy. Obviously probably always comes down to money and insurance, right? Like if you were to
Yeah.
choke on that salad and die in the restaurant, like eating food that wasn't theirs. Yeah, I'm sure it's all liability because that's the world we live in today.
Yeah.
But your mom I'm sure was a good sport and boxed up her little lobster salad and made it
Yeah.
else
We
to her.
actually ended up eating in our car, and, we have a Tesla, so it plays Netflix, so we were just eating our food and watching Netflix in the car.
See, perfect. Made the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness. So we did before we went live, I had asked, what maybe like your plans were for the future. And obviously you're a junior, so you have your senior year of high school coming up. And we all know that's a big year, especially if you're getting ready, looking at colleges or all the things that come along with the senior year experience. So I asked, what is your future for next year, show wise? What are your plans?
So, originally, I said that I didn't wanna compete again in high school and that I wanted to wait until college, But recently I've been debating on possibly going for my pro show next year after I apply to colleges. So possibly do a pro show in 2024.
Wow.
But
Yes,
if not, then I could wait till college too. But
exactly.
either
While
way.
while the other girls are gaining their freshman 15, you can be prepping for a competition.
Yeah, definitely.
No, and that's the thing that we always say is the stage will always be there, right? So there's
Mhm.
never a rush to work around your personal schedule and what works best for you. But I think that you're going to have a great future, especially with the way wellness has exploded. It's obviously been in this in South America for a long time. It's finally coming up here, and we're adopting it here in the States, and I think it's really taking off. And you know we're producing a lot of pros, and I think it's just going to be a very competitive and exciting class to watch going forward. um
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, the all of natural bodybuilding I really feel like is growing, and it's because of people like you. It's like the younger athletes that are um seeing on social media, following athletes, following influencers, and getting in the gym and getting involved. And I think it's so positive because, like I said, this is something you can do for the rest of your life. I know
Yeah,
I
definitely.
train with my teenage son, and it's for sports. So I don't mention bodybuilding to him, but obviously he's surrounded by it all the time, with his mom competing and just being involved in it. But he does all the poses, and he knows about all the meal prep and the everything. And I just think to myself, whether he ever steps on stage or not, the amount of knowledge that he's accumulating just being around the sport is so valuable, and is going to help
Yeah.
him so much later in life. Because I always when volleyball's over, I know your sister plays soccer.
Mhm.
When all those things are done and over, the weight room will always be there,
Yeah.
always. And such it's just such a incredible place to release stress, to feel good, to keep yourself healthy. I think of like my journey and college, after college, even like my darkest days, there was always the gym. Like no matter where I was in my life, like that
Yeah.
was the one constant, was training, working out, and I'm so grateful for that. And so I love
Yeah,
seeing
definitely.
young athletes gravitating towards the weight room and towards training and competing. That you just
Yeah.
like kicked it right to the top level.
Thank you. No, actually, I first got into lifting, kind of as a way to like relieve stress and just to get stronger. So I do agree with all of that too.
Yeah. So what is your favorite training day? Like what do you like to train?
Honestly, my favorite is training glutes and hamstrings. And then my second favorite is back for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. That's incredible. Glutes and hamstrings from a wellness pro. Would have
Yeah.
never guessed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
it has to be your favorite if you're in wellness, honestly.
Right? Exactly. Now okay, so you do have a coach and you have a posing coach, but as far as like the actual training in the gym, does your coach write those plans as well, or is he just doing your nutrition?
Well, for my prep,
Hmm.
I trained with him, so he
Mm,
had all my trainings written
gotcha.
out, and even when I trained on my own, he would tell me what to train, how many sets, how many reps, everything. And he
Yeah.
did give me a diet plan and help me along the way. But
Okay.
as of right now, I'm kind of just doing my own training split,
Hmm.
and I'm not being super strict with dieting because I do want to live my life, be a high school kid, just kind of just enjoy life right now. But once I do plan on competing again and go into a prep, I will have to
Yeah.
go back on the strict diet and strict training plan and all of that.
Of course, which leads me into my next question. You are in a lot of partnerships and ambassador programs, which I've seen on your social media, many of them being cookies. Some
Yeah, some
yeah,
of them are
so
cookies.
so obviously, yeah, obviously you have a soft spot for cookies, but why don't you
Definitely.
tell anybody that's watching, how do you get involved, or how do you, obviously you're a beautiful young lady, but how do you get the
Thank
attention of
you.
these companies to want to kind of invest in you or partner with you in any type of way? Like what is the process to kind of get involved with something like that for
Well,
you?
either they can reach out to you or you can reach out to them and just say, "Hey," and introduce yourself and say that you wanna work or partner with them, and
Yeah.
sometimes they won't respond, but other times they'll send you a link to apply for an affiliate or an ambassador program, or some will just say that they're not looking for anyone at the moment, but you could always reach out. It's so easy to reach out, and the worst they could say is no.
Right,
So
right.
and then
Yeah.
also posting I've noticed that when I post consistently, that's when more companies want to partner with me because if I don't provide enough content, then they're not gonna want me to promote their products because they
Right.
won't think that I'll post enough of it.
Right, right. Content is king. Content is king.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's great that you're not afraid to reach out and to brands that kind of fit your personal brand and be like, "Hey, let's partner up." I
Mhm.
think, yeah, I love that. Now, let me ask you the big question. In this sport, like where do you see yourself in maybe like 10, 15 years?
Honestly, I can see myself continuing to compete within the next 10, 15 years, and honestly, just for whenever, like, whenever I decide to compete again, I feel like it'll always be there. It's always gonna be a part of me. So, I don't think I wanna make it into a career, but I definitely can see it as kind of like a hobby or just a sport that I can carry with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I love that. Exactly. I think that's exactly the right attitude and the right outlook because there's so many other benefits to the sport besides just being on stage, which you've already, expressed, right? There's all the things that you've learned about diet and training, and
Yeah.
even I'm sure you've upped your selfie game now that you've had a posing coach. You know how to pose. There's
Yeah,
all these
definitely.
benefits. Yeah.
No, yeah, I feel like I'm so glad that I decided to compete. Even if I end up never competing again, like I've learned so much just from this experience, from the whole process, just from the start. I've learned so much, and I'll like take that knowledge with me for the rest of my life too.
Absolutely. So, one other question backstage, I have to, because we have that similar story where we competed in high school. So when I went backstage, or when I was thinking, gosh, I'm going to be in this show with a bunch of other women, I'm automatically associated women with like high school and cheerleaders and all of that. I was a major tomboy. I played sports, the whole works. And for me, they were always kind of like the catty ones, or like just the drama queens. And I was thinking to myself, oh, this is going to be quite the experience backstage with all of these drama queens. But it wasn't. It was actually quite the opposite, and it was very uplifting and um
Yeah, definitely.
supportive. So what was your experience backstage, and what did you expect to experience when you were backstage?
I've always heard that everyone was super supportive and uplifting and there for everyone, and that is exactly what I experienced. Everyone was so nice, and especially me being a first-time competitor, I had people help me out, and everyone was super supportive and just super nice. And I actually I made a really good friend backstage too. She competed in bikini and she won her pro card at the same show. Her name's Emily Howe. Um, so she won her pro card in bikini, and I won my pro card in wellness at the same show.
Oh, I love that.
So,
And now you
and
guys
we
have stayed in touch.
Yeah, definitely. And we were like backstage, we were just talking the whole time and just hanging out. And it was super fun. Like the fact that I could meet so many like-minded people backstage too,
Mm-hmm.
that because everyone backstage was doing the same thing. They had been prepping for months and they could just relate to everything. It was just such an amazing experience.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny when I would go to shows, I would come out from behind the curtain and I would, talk to my family and my husband, who wasn't a bodybuilder, so he hadn't kind of been around this atmosphere. He's like, "You guys are all so strange." He's like, "This is some sort of weird cult. You're all
Oh my
tan.
gosh.
You're all munching on rice cakes." He's like, "This is
No,
very."
honestly,
He's like, "This is very weird."
No, it was hilarious looking around, just seeing everyone sitting with their feet up and just like chomping on rice cakes and jam. And it tasted so good, like not having rice cakes and jam for so long. It was literally heaven. I don't know, it was crazy.
It's so true. It's so true. But I do love, so that was the premises of my entire platform. It's called Subculture because it's just really about bringing natural bodybuilding together, and it's about this community that we build, and being backstage and being at events and shows. We all share like that similar grind, and go through the same
Yeah.
things, and yeah, and support each other. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and being on the show tonight. Definitely going to be following you, and probably now ordering a bunch of cookies that I don't need.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I also have nut butters and supplements, so if you want to order those too, along with the cookies.
why not? Oh man, but yeah, that is you are definitely a go-getter. I love that about from
Thank
what I've
you.
learned, and good luck in school. Obviously, like I said, the student athlete thing is so important in this household, as I'm sure it is in yours. And that's where I I I kind of like feel like a proud mom. Like I'm just
Oh my god.
because I can
Thank
relate to
you.
where you are
Yeah.
right now academically, and I know doing a sport like this is so, like you said, you had to eliminate a lot of social activities because you
Yeah.
had such a large load in school to stay up on, and um
Mhm.
to make that decision at your age is very impressive, to be able to
Yeah. Thank
decipher, okay,
you.
should I go out with my friends or should I study? So yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you. Okay, so any other questions for me, or any closing comments you want to make? I
Well, I do have a question since
Sure.
you did also compete in high school at
Yeah.
19, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How was your experience with that? Would you say it's similar to mine for the most part,
Oh,
or
for sure. It was similar. I was a bodybuilder. So back then there was only women's fitness and women's bodybuilding, kind of
yeah.
aging myself. But so I trained hard, and just to put into reference, I'm only 4'11", so I'm very small. I have short muscle bellies. So when I would go to the gym and I would train heavy, I would train hard, I developed a pretty decent physique fairly quickly. Although, I had been an athlete my whole life. So I was getting accused of steroids. So in my
Oh my
school,
god.
I was the little girl that was on steroids, and nobody believed I was natural, to the point where I even had the cheerleading coach, the female cheerleading coach, pulled me aside in the locker room one day as I'd walk around in my sports bra, because I thought I was just hot shit. And she goes, I want to talk to you about this sport and about steroids
Oh
and
my
how
god.
dangerous they are for you. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't take drugs, I don't take steroids, all natural. And that has been my platform forever. Obviously, I still preach that. I still educate
Yeah.
people on that, on being natural. And yeah, so high school, it was comical. Like I was mature enough just to kind of laugh about it, and I knew there was always snickering behind my back. But I just kind of like natural bodybuilders do now. We just kind of wear it as like a badge of honor. It's like
Mhm.
cool, like they think I'm not natural, but I am.
Yeah.
You just have to like own it.
Yeah,
Um,
honestly, that's also one of the reasons why I love the OCB because they do test you, so you know that everyone competing there is
yes.
natural. And
Yes.
it's so amazing to see what people can achieve naturally without the use of steroids.
It is. It's phenomenal,
Mhm.
seeing and watching and following the sport. So yeah, so that was my experience. My teachers were super supportive. Obviously, my father was a bodybuilder, so my family was very supportive. Um,
Is that how you got into it?
it is. Yeah, I don't have a like super
Yeah.
cool story because I
No, I think
grew
that's so cool
I
because
grew
he
up
probably,
around it.
like, led you
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and So yeah, just being around it my whole life. The gym was always a very
Mhm.
comfortable place for me. It was always a very welcoming place to me. And my first show, the gym owners came up to me. They were promoting a show, and they said, "Hey, we'll do a teen division if you compete." And I was like, "Compete? What? Are you crazy?" And then I was like, and then there was like a trainer standing by us, and he goes, "I'll train her. I'll get her ready." And everyone's looking at me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it." And the
Yeah.
gym, yeah, the gym was cool. They bought my suit, they sponsored me, they
Oh, really?
gave me supplements. Like they really helped out with the whole prep, and the trainer um, got me ready, and yeah, and I won the whole show. So it ended up being a
Oh, yeah, that's
fantastic
so
experience.
awesome.
Yeah, very similar to yours. So
Yeah.
it was cool. And
No, I
then yeah.
definitely think it's such an amazing experience too, especially competing this young, because not many people can compete this young or will ever compete.
No, you're right, and it will last. Like you said, if you never competed again, the things that you've learned will you will carry over for a lifetime. Like at any age, anybody will be able to put a plate of food in front of you, and you will be able to pretty much spit out the macros just by looking at the plate of
Yeah.
food because you've been wired to think that way now. It's never just potatoes, chicken, and mashed potato
Yeah.
and stuffing. You're like, okay, that's about 40 carbs. That's probably about 32 and probably about 20 grams and then about 40 grams. Yeah. So you'll like be like
Yeah.
protein, carbs, and fat. Like you will be able to break it down and you don't realize how many Americans, adults, kids, anybody can't do that and doesn't understand portions or
Yeah.
macros or any of it.
Yeah, I've actually
And
had to explain macros to some of my friends too, because I'll just talk about macros or something, and they give me a face that they just have no clue what I'm talking about.
right.
So
No, that's so beneficial for you and other young people to learn, because you'll always be able to manage your weight or manage your diet in like in an efficient way. So I love that.
yeah. And then I've also noticed I feel that since I have that knowledge, I don't have to track everything I eat because I know how my body works, what I need. And I also like to balance my food and just like 80/20 rule. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I like to enjoy life as well as reaching my fitness goals.
It's what it's about. It's about having balance
Mhm.
because you will hear some
Definitely.
young athletes that will go to the extreme and then then there's the whole eating disorder and everything else that can
Yeah.
happen. So if you do compete young, finding that balance post show is so important because we have to
Yeah.
understand, like you said, you got to live your life and you can't always look a certain way. And it's also not going to be beneficial for your goals in the future. So, like, if you can wrap your head around that mindset, and obviously with social media now, that's such a huge tool in helping people see. Well, it can be a tool. Yeah, I say that it can be a tool. It can also be having negative effect because sometimes we don't understand Instagram is a highlight reel. So some of the
Yeah.
influencers that we follow, this isn't what they look like 24/7, but it may be what they
Yeah, that's
post
definitely.
24/7. A
That's
little
also something I've like been trying to teach myself too. Just like social media is just all highlight reel.
always, right? And
Mhm.
that's even if it's real.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yes. So it can be either or. Oh, but I think a lot more athletes are being transparent, which I love seeing, and I respect
Yeah.
those athletes so much more.
Yeah,
Um
definitely seen when other athletes or competitors post about their struggles that I can relate to. It just makes me feel like I'm not alone. So
yes.
I always try to post the real side of things too, because like competing is not easy, and there are a lot of things that competitors do struggle with during and post show. So I love seeing people post and just being able to relate to it.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. So transparency, guys, that's so important,
Yeah.
and your followers will definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, again, thank you, and keep inspiring your friends and your family, and educating your friends.
Of course.
that is your duty and all of your new friends. I tell that to my son all the time. I go, you're going to be the kid that everybody comes to and has questions on nutrition, has questions about training and what they should do because you're it. You're
Yeah.
you're the example and they will respect you for that. So you're kind of in that same boat,
Yeah,
especially
for sure.
females, and
Mhm.
do I look like a man? No, weight's aren't
Yeah,
gonna
I
make.
feel like people need to stop saying that lifting will make you look like a man because it really does not.
No,
Because the amount of lifting and hard work you have to put in to build muscle is something that most people won't even have the discipline for.
correct.
So lifting one weight will not make you all of a sudden humongous.
No, no, no. See, so you have all kinds of responsibilities now as a natural wellness pro.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, well, this was fun. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, you got a little comment.
Thank you.
So, yes, this will be saved on YouTube and on Facebook. So, you're more than welcome to rewatch it and share it with your friends and family. And that's it. I'll be following you. Obviously you follow the Subculture Live Instagram page, so you'll be able to kind of stay up on a lot of the current things that are going on in natural bodybuilding and other athletes that I'm highlighting. And yeah, and another great thing when you're not competing to do that I encourage pros to do to stay involved is go to events, go to natural
Yeah.
shows and just participate, be in the crowd, do some networking that way, or
Mhm.
reach out to promoters and see if you can test judge or expedite backstage. That's always a great way to stay involved in the industry and in the sport. you
Yeah, for
continue
sure.
to yeah you continue to meet new athletes, and just share in the show day excitement. Even though you might not be competing, you're able to still
Mhm.
absorb all that excitement. So
No, I definitely
definitely.
love going to shows. They're so fun and it's so amazing to see all the people on stage showing off all their hard work. So
Because you
I
can
definitely will
appreciate
be
it.
doing that. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, Riley. Well, have a great night and good luck in everything that you do. If you have any questions ever, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm always here.
Right. Thank you so much for having
Yeah,
me.
of course, of course. We'll talk soon. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye, thank you.
You're welcome.